Hi, everybody. Welcome into today's show here on JTV. Looking at nobody, empty chair. Nobody's here. Just Adams there, but I'm here, but I'm not here. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. So, hey, we still wanted to be here today, Adam, because because it's Monday, but two, didn't want to miss a lot of this high school basketball that's happening. So a lot of playoff action happening. Hopefully you guys aren't cold back where you're at, and everything's well. So
it's actually really
I'm David.
I was gonna say it's really
Adam.
nice here.
I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it's really nice here in Jackson for the first time of the year. It's like mid-high 50s, so I know it's nicer where you're at, but not bad here.
Right. They have the high school basketball playoffs happening here too, but we're worried about back in Jackson. So that's where we start today's show. Thursday, last week, boys regional final had two of them. We'll start here in Division III, Lumen Christi, 57-48 in Ithaca over Ovid Elsie. So Lumen winning back-to-back regional titles for the first time since 1987. With the win on Thursday night at Ithaca High School. So Lumen will take on Catholic High School League rival Riverview Gabriel Richard Tuesday night in the quarterfinals, 7 p.m. at Ypsi Lincoln High School. And they're playing for the third time this year. First time they played was early in the year for a conference game, and they lost by 20+ to Riverview. And then they played against each other in the Catholic High School League championship game, also lost by 20+, and now they're going to get them in the final 8 here in the quarterfinals. So I hate to say it because it's our last local team left, but that it's going to be it to me.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. I'm telling you.
That's true, but it just, Lumen's won the last 2 or 3 games, really too close for comfort at this time. I mean, sure, at this time of year, you're going to get those games, and you got to, it's going to be a dogfight, and you got to pull out of those games to win. But when you're playing a state contender, even like in a tier above them, the chances are slim. And based on how the other 2 games went, we'll see. So Tuesday night, that's happening at Ypsi Lincoln High School. But Lumen and Coach Trope, who will be on the show in a little bit, more on that in a few minutes. So congrats, though, to Lumen. They're still not done yet. They got Tuesday night, but in Division 4, switching gears here, great season for Concord. They fell, though, in the regional final Thursday, 64-54 to Adrian Lenawee Christian. Jet Smith, 16 points, and Darrell Dean with 15. And Concord finishes the season at 17-10. Quite a trip for us to go down to Mendon from Jackson for that game. So 64-54 Lenawee over Concord. But I didn't know this, and I don't think a lot of people knew it until recently, but Matt Lehman from Concord had posted this was the first time ever that Concord has won both the girls and the boys district championships.
Wow.
In the same year. So I didn't know that. So great season for both of them. And the Concord girls are not done yet. And that's where we switch gears over to Friday. So Friday we had 2 district finals, Division 4, actually 3, excuse me. Division 2 will start there. Chelsea 52-35 over Western. Now, hard part about just the tough part about Western season, well, 2 things. One, them being in the same, that's what's hard about being Division 2 in our area, is that you're going to be in the same district as Michigan Center and Chelsea or Tecumseh. Thankfully, they're not with Tecumseh, because Tecumseh is, right now they're going to win the state championship. But if you're center or Western, that's the hard part though, right, about being in D2 is that you're gonna play each other in a district, and same thing with Grass Lake and Lumen Christi in the same division there or district for D3 because all 4 plus Concord 5, we have 5 teams in our area for the girls who, um, can each win their own district and make their own run in regionals, but 2 or 3 of them are gonna have to play each other just because of how everything lands, looking at a map. So, um, sucks that we're only down to 2 girls teams. St. Judo's the boys, but like we've mentioned before on the show, um, it's just hard because I think we have better girls basketball in our area and talent wise too than boys. And even Coach Trope said that when we talked to him, and we'll get a chance to play that for everybody in a few minutes. But just it was tough because again, we have 5 teams who can make their own run, and we're only down to 2. But right, that's the thing about March.
Yeah, I was muted. Yes. Yeah, I mean, hey man, anything can happen, and like I mentioned before with Lumen, you never know, but I mean, it's awesome to see the talent that these girls have in this area, and we talk about the Grass Lakes and all those other teams. I mean, they're extremely good. I know you know that firsthand.
Right. Well, if not to take any credit away from Lumen, but if they weren't in the same district as the Grass Lake girls, they would have been the one to play Leslie tonight in the regional, and they've already beat Leslie twice because they're both in the Cascades East. So they would have beat Leslie, and they definitely would have made it to either the regional final or quarterfinal. So that was a team that could have had a small chance at making the Breslin and having a long playoff run. So we figured whoever was going to win that matchup in the district final was going to do that. And then same thing with Western, though. So whoever was between them and center would have had a chance against Chelsea. I thought Western would play better, but that shows also how good the SEC is too, right down the road from Jackson, because you have Chelsea who just killed Western, was a state contender, but Chelsea's in the same conference as Tecumseh too. So, and we know about Tecumseh; they're also a really good team. So, um, and then Division 4 here for the girls, 56-23, Concord over Jackson Christian. Brady Lehman, number 20 for Concord, scoring 20 points, and they're 19-4. And they play tonight at home Monday at 5:30 in the regional semi. So Concord hosting the boys districts and the girls regionals. And Concord, guess who they're playing? I've never heard of this school before.
Ooh,
Portland St. Patrick.
I've heard of Portland, but not St. Patrick. That's interesting. Portland St. Patrick, huh?
Well, we'll see if club versus community applies for that game too. But no, the Yellow Jackets they take on Portland St. Patrick at home Monday. So, and then Jackson Christian, they had a great season too in Division 4. They finished the season at 16-9. So, and then in the big game in Division 3, Jackson Lumen Christi over Grass Lake, 59-52. Kenna Hunt, 24 points. Lucy Rozak, 22 points. Both the freshmen for the Titans leading them to the girls for Lumen. It was their first district championship since the year 2020. And they won it right before everything shut down for COVID. So congrats to Lumen on that. So Lumen Christi will be taking on Leslie Monday night, regional semifinal at Springport. And again, like we mentioned, another great season for Grass Lake and the girls. For the 8th year in a row, they won the Cascades Conference in a 19-4 overall record, and they beat 2 Division 1 teams and 2 Division 2 teams. And that's a team that couldn't even get out of their district. So just shows, like we just mentioned, how tough it is, here for our basketball talents. So Concord, Lumen left for the girls. Lumen just left for the boys. So I believe it was Austin that took the journey down to Mendon
He did.
from here. So I heard it's very very small gym. I've never been there myself before, but Ithaca, you kind of got the same vibe too, looking at the highlights, which we have online, by the way, on our website, jtv.tv, for those that want to go back and look at that. So we've got photos from all the regional and district final and highlights as well. So also coming up on the show later, Michigan continues to suck, and you texted us in our group chat and said you were wrong. They are not playing well,
Yeah.
and they did not play well on Wednesday against Maryland. Having 10 plus turnovers, most of those in the second half, you're not going to win very many games. And then they just got killed by Michigan State yesterday, which I expected to happen. Still disappointing. And now they end up with the 2 or 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. So that starts on Wednesday. So we'll talk about that. Also, we mentioned last show Carter Mazur from the Red Wings from Jackson, playing for the Red Wings, got called up from the Griffins to the Red Wings. Unfortunately, got injured. So we'll mention that, plus a lot of NFL free agency news. And I got several texts of people laughing at me because I said Devontae Adams was going to come back. And he did not. I didn't even know that was a team on the radar for him at all. That wasn't even a team that we mentioned for him. So
Hey, it sounds like a good fit. We'll see.
We'll see. Also, a couple big defensive edge rushers are staying where they're at, and they got paid. So some of the Lions rumors with those players can be shut down now. And we'll preview what's coming up on Wednesday's show as well. So we will get to all that and more coming up on JTV. But when we come back, the head coach of the Lumen Christi Titans of the boys program, Josh Trope, will join the show. So stay tuned. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Lumen Christi, one of 2 teams left here in the state tournament for boys high school basketball. And the coach of the Lumen Christi Titans joining us now, Josh Trope. Coach, good to have you on with us, and appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you having me. It's a great show. I listen and follow, and you've had some great guests. Hopefully I can fill the shoes.
Well, only have had a couple other coaches on so far, so we'll see. But double overtime, we'll start here versus Hanover last Friday. Are you still trying to recover from that game and that environment? Because that was, I mean, no wonder what they call it. At least the way Coach Birch put it was the Camden of the Cascades.
Yeah, what a great nickname. Even though I have a feeling they gave it to themselves. Hanover does love Hanover. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, what a great nickname. What a great environment. Incredible experience for the kids and both communities. It's one of those games that will be talked about, another 15 or 20 years, unless another one like that happens. About the one that played out 10 years ago with Kari Willis and Devin Edwards when they went over there and lost 10 years ago. And until Friday, that was the game everybody talked about. So hopefully this is the one they remember now. Crazy game. Obviously, we're up 5 at the end of regulation and find a way to let them come back and tie it. We're up 5 at the end of the first overtime and let them find a way to come back and tie it again. And then we're down 5 with 1:30 left. And find a way to win it in double overtime. So just a wild game.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what'd you tell your team? Because you guys were up by 5 in regulation, the end of first overtime, and then they came back twice, and then they had a 5-point lead. What'd you tell your guys to be able to keep it together, keep the composure, and do what you guys do?
Well, two things. I said, hey, they've done it to us twice. It's our turn, and then the other thing, hey, one play at a time. There's no 5-point plays. Just get one basket, one stop, one basket, one stop, and we'll see what happens. And I thought the kids did a good job of that. It started with a Luke Trope layup with about 1:30 to go. Then Amarion Clay took a charge. Ashton Callan with a steal and a couple free throws, and then that Ashton step back three to kind of seal the deal. And yeah, it was an incredible sequence.
And between that game and Stockbridge in the semifinal on Tuesday, you have a very good mix of, and we talked about this in the post-game interview from Friday, but you have the senior leaders like Luke and Timmy who know what it takes in March, but then you have also a good mix of the younger players, Ashton Callan and Broden Burgess and Amari and Clay, who they all contribute and they've all stepped up major.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tuesday at Ithaca was even a better example of that. And you're spot on. We have an incredible mix, and I think that's what makes us a dangerous and special team. But Tuesday was such a great example of that. Luke and Timmy get 2 fouls early in the second quarter. And if you'd have told me that before the game, I would have told you we're probably going to lose. I would have said, well, we're in trouble then. And I looked out there, and at one point in the second quarter, we had 2 freshmen, Ashton Callan and Broden Burgess, 2 sophomores, Zach Trope and Wes Learn, and 1 senior, Cash Callagher, who didn't play basketball last year. And that was our lineup for like the last 3 minutes of the second quarter. It was wild. Yet those kids were able to get us to halftime tied. And we felt like we were stealing at that point. I mean, we were just hoping to get halftime within distance. And that was a tie game at half. And all those guys stepped up. Cash stepped up. And and then in the second half, I think we scored the last 10 of the game to win by 3. I think we were down 7 with like 3 to go. You probably know the details even better than I do.
Yeah, down by 7, I believe, with 2.5 left, and then Amarian had his back-to-back threes, and then 5 points from Timmy Crowley. So I think Adam also, you had a couple questions for Coach too.
Yeah, well, I was just curious. There's no question that Lumen Christi, there's a lot of expectations coaching there, especially with their history of being very competitive. When you became head coach, did you feel like that you had like those expectations real quick to create a really good team and start competing for a championship?
Well, that's a great question. No, because they had been so bad for so long. To be honest with you, I hate to be like that. They were great a long time ago, and the Mike Ramker era, the Dan Crowley era, and then they had really struggled. And then when Kari was there, they had a nice 3-year run when they were really good for 3 years, but that ended in 2015, and really, since then there has not been a winning season. There's not a lot of success. They did win one district title. Tyler Aldridge won one at Manchester, but that was without Hanover and teams like that in it. And so, they had really struggled. So, no, I did not feel that. It's to go along those lines, though, it is funny because there's one of the things that I've always believed in that does conflict with the Lumen athletic motto, and I do struggle with it just because I'm an educator and a teacher and I've coached so many other places, but like I feel like you should celebrate every victory. Every win should be celebrated. Life is too short not to celebrate your wins, ugly ones, blowouts, whatever it is. And anytime you win a trophy, it's special. We got a chance to win back-to-back regionals tonight. It'll be the first time since 1987. Only the 6th time in school history. And so that's a big deal. But sometimes at Lumen, we get lost in the weeds where we only count state titles. And that's really cool if you're football or the golf team or things like that. But there's, I've been doing this a long time. There's only 4 divisions in basketball. It's really hard to win. And so anytime you win a championship, you got to celebrate that. And we certainly will celebrate it if we're lucky enough to do it tonight.
Right, and both of the boys teams in our area, of course, besides you guys, and then Concord in Division 4, if they're able to pull it off, it'll be their first since 1990, so it could be 2 very historic games for both teams tonight. So,
yeah,
that'd be great.
And then, I know you said that one thing that you kind of want to change was that, like, celebrating these wins, like you said. Is there anything else that you could see that maybe either you took influence from maybe the philosophies of previous coaches, or do you think you kind of came in here and just completely changed how Lumen Christi basketball was?
No, that's another great question. No, I think I blended it. I definitely have brought the idea that we are going to celebrate all these wins, whether it's a district semifinal, a district final, and the kids have embraced that. And why wouldn't they? They're teenagers. These are a big deal to them. Like every one of these are, and that's how it should be. But then on the other hand, I lean heavily on people like Herb Brogan and Mike Ramker and Dan Crowley, and obviously Tyler's my assistant, and he was an incredible player there. And so I lean on all these guys that have all this great experience and are Lumen alum that they help guide me and to make sure that we're doing things the right way, that we're doing things the way that Lumen wants them done. And again, the tradition, the success, the integrity, all those things about Lumen Christi make it special. And Sean Brogan is another person. He's not a head coach right now, but Sean obviously leads Green and Gold, and he's the assistant football coach and assistant principal. And I like his saying the best. He goes, when people come to Lumen, you don't change Lumen. Lumen changes you. And it's such a great,
That's awesome.
Great saying. And it's so true. So no, I certainly didn't change the way we look at things. I'd like to say that I added to the basketball program that we are going to celebrate all these wins. I mean, of course, the goal is the state championship. Of course it is. But we're still going to have some fun and enjoy these wins along the way.
Right, for sure. So, of course, this interview's airing after tonight's regional final, but I wanted to touch really quick on Ovid Elsie. We talked after the Tuesday semi against Stockbridge that Ovid's it's going to be a very different game than what Stockbridge was, because Stockbridge had a much larger size advantage in the post and down low than you guys did. But Ovid has more smaller guards, more stack built. So that could be something in your guys' favor more than some of the advantages that Stockbridge had on Tuesday.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a very, very different matchup and game and the style. They're much more like we are size-wise. They have, obviously they're thicker like we are, but they don't have great height. They have explosive guards like we do. They got, 4 seniors. They have great leadership, all those things. And they play tight, tough, man-to-man, aggressive in the passing lanes. They don't zone, so that's completely different than what we saw on Tuesday. They will press if they're losing, but otherwise they're traditionally a half-court, in-your-face, man-to-man team, very similar to us. We're the same way. We don't press unless we need to at the end, and we're going to play a man-to-man unless we're in foul trouble. And so we expect it. We're looking more like looking in the mirror than like when we were playing Stockbridge, which couldn't have been more different than us.
So really quick here, I know we have a couple minutes left and want to get to the All-Star games, but I wanted to ask if you wanted to just make any comments here on the show. I know somebody you used to co-host the Coach Speak with, Matt Seidel, and then, of course, Derek as well. But Matt, who former Olivet coach, for those that don't know, and now the AD at Pinckney, and some of his comments this year that have been very 50-50, I would say. He uses the hashtag club versus community and separating the private and public schools into their own divisions, and saying that just by playing and being at a private school, just, essentially by being there, they already have 2-3 times the advantage in almost all the sports. So as a teacher and an educator yourself, and a coach, of course, at Lumen, I just wanted to ask if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. I would say that I think I have great perspective because I've been on both sides of it. I was the Chelsea coach and Milan coach when I got knocked out of district finals. I had 2 really good teams, one at Chelsea and one at Milan, that lost in district finals to Father Gabriel Richard out of Ann Arbor. And when we lost those games, I was disappointed, and I hugged my kids, my seniors that were crying in that locker room, and those things. But I never once did I leave the locker room feeling I was cheated or at a disadvantage because I played a Catholic school. That was just the team that was on the schedule. You lined up, you played them, you did your best, and obviously you hope to win. But never once did it ever cross my mind like, oh wow, what an advantage they had, what a disadvantage I'm at, And so That's Matt's opinion. That's fine. It is. I do like reading the tweets. I actually, I agree with some things he says. I don't agree with a lot. I think it's more how it's his lack of tact is really the issue. I think that people have. The model he presents. With the information from Ohio, I really haven't sat down and had time to watch that or look at it. I've been busy coaching, but it does sound interesting and intriguing because it does involve public schools and private schools. It looks more, I guess, where your students are coming from. I just think it's interesting. He has an opinion, and he's an old coach, so people are going to listen. And he was a great coach and a mentor of mine, actually, in the basketball world. I learned a lot from him as a basketball coach. I don't think there's any harm with what he's doing. I think he's bringing attention to something he feels is important. And there are some people that definitely agree with him. I just think there's way more important issues right now that we need to fix than that one. The seeding of regionals, the fact that Stockbridge and Lumen Christi drove to Ithaca to play a game, instead
Right.
of, drove by 50 high schools on our way there. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of other things we need to fix in high school basketball right now that I think are more important. But I mean, if it's important to him, that's okay. And he's an educated man. He's intelligent. He's smart. He knows the game of basketball. If he feels like this is an important topic, then and he wants to bring attention to it, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as he doesn't target teenagers, as long as he stays away from that, I don't think there's anything wrong with what he's doing.
Right. So really quick here before we go, of course, the second year coming up on Tuesday the 19th at Spring Arbor for the high school all-star basketball games. First year we're having a girls game at 6 p.m. and then the boys will follow after that. What can fans and what can people expect and look forward to from these all-star games coming up?
Yeah, I mean, so we almost have all the answers on commitments. We've got a really good commitment level from both boys and girls this year. We're really excited that we're going to have a girls game. It didn't come together last year because we had so many softball players. So we targeted this early start, hoping kids would be more willing to play in the games so they're not in the state playoffs for softball and baseball and things like that. And it's really worked out that way. And I think what you're going to see is a really fast-paced game. You're going to see a lot of great players in the area. I mean, quite honestly, girls basketball in the area is much better than boys basketball. For the percentage of girls basketball players that are going to play college is much higher. So it's great that we're going to have a girls game. And that we're going to play 6-minute quarters instead of 8 because they're not in great basketball shape after their season. So the games will go a little bit faster. The girls' game will tip at 6 and the boys at 7. It'll be a chance to see a lot of great seniors again and honor them one more time. And I thought the game was great last year. It was well attended. There was a lot of excitement around it. And immediately after the game, people were like, you got to do this again. And then we started getting a lot of texts and calls from girls coaches saying, we will make this happen this year. Please get us on the schedule.
For sure. Well, Ovid coming up tonight. That is at Ithaca, 7 p.m. Thursday. And then, so of course, want to wish you and your team good luck the rest of the tournament run. And I know we'll be following along right there with you guys. So appreciate you taking the time with us today on the show. And good luck the rest of the way. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we'll see it over tonight.
Yep, absolutely. Lumen Christi coach there on the show, Josh Trope. We'll be right back here on JTV after this.
Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency, and also thank you to Pataki Orthodontics, Crest Lake Hillsdale, and in Coldwater, PatakiOrtho.com. So, again, you can check out all the photo galleries from the boys' regional round and the girls' district rounds, including the championship games last Friday. Photos and video highlights on our website at jtv.tv, plus post-game interviews and everything like that. So, but without further ado, if you missed the girls' district finals from last Friday, Division II Western took on Chelsea, and the big one, Lumen Christi versus Grass Lake. So Thanks for watching, and of course, thanks to Minuteman Sewer and Drain for helping us bring you the high school sports as always, all seasons. So, if you missed those two girls' district final games from Friday, here's a few highlights from JTV Sports. Welcome back here on JTV. So we were talking earlier and during the commercial break, NFL free agency, which we'll get to in a second. A few surprises, honestly. Shock. Even some of the trades that happened, some of the releases, and some of the signings, and including Saquon saying everybody needs to get paid, but that's not possible either. So we'll get to that. But first, Big Ten tournament kicks off in 2 days on Wednesday nights. Michigan still has the number 2 seed, and they will likely play Purdue in the quarterfinal Friday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Big Ten Network. So they played Michigan State yesterday at the Breslin. I didn't watch the whole game, but they really struggled to shoot, right away. The turnovers were sloppy. It just looked like the typical Michigan basketball that has been the last 3 or 4 games. And I don't know how much of the game you watched, but if you've watched the past couple of games or even glimpses of it, I'd be worried even the first round or 2 of the NCAA tournament, because the way they're playing now, sure, they've all lost to, teams who are going to be in the tournament, decent teams, but I'm still worried if I'm a Michigan fan, because this is what's happened the last couple years too. Once we get to this point, they start okay, and then they start shooting the ball horribly, and it just goes downhill from there. But I would be worried. I don't know about you or anybody else. But.
Yeah, I mean, watching Maryland, that was real rough, and that's why beforehand, when you were talking about Maryland, you were like, if they lose to Maryland, we're in deep trouble. And I was just like, but that ain't gonna happen. And you're just like, I don't know. And
Well,
then,
newsflash.
yeah, watching that game, it was just like, wow, they really did like. It's not like I've watched every game this year or anything like that, but like watching those early games and being like, oh yeah, they look pretty good. And then it was just like missing a bunch, and then seeing those last few, it's just like, oh no, we're not. So yeah, that
But
really
also
sucks.
playing, Long Beach, Snoop Dogg State, and then playing Michigan State is a big difference.
Right. But like look at how they played Michigan State. They played Michigan State really well in that first game for a little bit, and then that second half happened.
They did, even up until like halfway through the second half.
Right.
So, also in women's basketball, the Big Ten tournament just wrapped up yesterday. UCLA, new to the Big Ten this year, won the Big Ten for the first time ever. Them and USC were in the Big Ten final. And in hockey news, Jackson's own Carter Mazer, we mentioned it briefly last weekend, Wednesday, was playing for the Griffins, got called up to the Red Wings, played Wednesday night, and unfortunately got injured. I believe it was a shoulder injury, a second shift out on the ice. And it looks like it will be somewhat of a long term, at least for this season. And the Red Wings officially placed him on injured reserve. So, sucks for everybody that went there to watch him play. Obviously, it's hockey, it's sports, injuries happen.
Right.
But nonetheless, it sucks for the first game called up. They need the extra guys to this playoff push because they've dropped the last few games. They need to, get everybody healthy and basically get their what together, and another player goes down.
Yeah, that was just my heart was broken when that came across my screen that he got hurt. It was just like, it couldn't have been a worse time for him. But
right.
Yeah, he's on injured reserve. He's going to miss some time, but you hope that he'll be able to return for the Wings. And, if he's not back for a potential playoff run, be back for the start of next season. I'd love to be able to see him at Little Caesars Arena.
Absolutely. And in NFL news, mentioned earlier, a lot of big moves. DK Metcalf from Seattle going to the Steelers. Also leaving Seattle, Geno Smith. This was the one I was shocked the most by. Geno going to Vegas. Then I forgot Pete Carroll is coaching there for a split second. I was like, why would he want to go there?
Yep.
Excuse me. And then he's reuniting with Pete Carroll. So Geno to Vegas, DK to the Steelers, which means Seattle's backup, well, was backup, now I guess the starter, Sam Howell.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
they're going to be going for a quarterback. Something tells me. I don't know. When you
Oh,
have
God, I
that,
hope so.
yeah, it's not looking good for them. They need somebody.
Yeah, because also Lockett is gone. No more. DK's gone. Geno. So really, your whole offense is Kenneth Walker, and teams just don't run the ball 50 times a game in the NFL like they do in college. So they're going to need another weapon, but they're going to struggle and they're not going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be probably third in their division at least. So I don't know any big names that would want to go there anyways.
No, Seattle might be my Seattle, I think. And see, I'm not sold on
Nobody
Vegas,
wanted
but-
to be on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think Seattle might be in my running right now for the worst team. I mean, we'll see once the draft happens and
Really?
everything. But yeah, I don't see it. But we'll see. I mean, there's probably going to be some pretty bad teams out there. I don't know. I just thought about the Giants.
Last week, you said the Panthers were still one of the worst
Oh,
teams.
they are one of the worst teams. I do still stand by that.
I think based on how they finished the year, they're not as horrible as they were. Are they still bad? Yes. But like Seattle will be worse than Carolina, I think. Like there's 8 teams I could put out there right now I think would be worse than them. So I think they'll be right in the middle of the pack, not a playoff team, but they won't be like in the running for like a top 5 picks. So they'll be in that in between because Seattle, Titans, Browns, Giants, Jags, Jets. So that's 6. Cardinals, unless if I said the Cardinals already. So 7 right there. So
I mean, we can just say New York as a whole will be terrible. That is pretty funny, though. Other than Buffalo, I guess.
The whole state.
Yeah,
of
other
New
than
York?
Buffalo. Buffalo is the only saving grace for them. But the Jets and the Giants, everybody that's playing in MetLife is going to be awful.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who would go there to watch any event, anyways. But no, other than the Bills, just the whole state of New York. Not even football. But also leaving MetLife to go to the Rams. Devontae Adams. Now, this, other than Geno, this was the other one I was shocked by the most because, we talked about potential teams for him, and it was like, okay, if the Raiders pick up a quarterback he wants to play with, could he go back there? Could he go back to Green Bay? Or could he go to, maybe the Steelers, depending on maybe what Aaron Rodgers did? And not at all did we expect him to go to the Rams. I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card, but solid pickup for them because, Cooper Kupp, who's getting older, and an injury happens. Puka Nacua, they have Blake Corum and Kyron Williams, and you still have Matt Stafford, who's staying there. So
Offense is looking good.
Great pickup.
Yeah, I think that offense looks really good. You could argue they're in a tougher division. I mean, you'll see. I mean, it depends. I guess a couple of years ago they were in a really tough division. Now it might get a little bit lighter with how San Fran's been playing and what you think San Fran might, what might kind of unravel for them as the year goes on, but with injuries specifically. But I think that's a really good pickup for them. I think Puka Nacua is still their clear number 1. With Kupp, I think those are kind of interchangeable, but you don't know. There's been some trade rumors with Kupp, and this could kind of help kind of push that along. We'll kind of see, but I'm excited to see what happens with that team. I mean, Stafford always seems to get targets wherever he goes.
Well, I'm interested how the money situation is too, because if they don't need or Devontae doesn't want a huge deal, if it still works out to keep all 3 of them, Nacua, Kupp, and Devontae, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The more loaded, the better.
That's fun. That's a fun team.
Right. Also, Max Crosby got paid, Josh Allen got paid, and Myles Garrett staying. in Cleveland. So, real quick before we go, coming up on Wednesday's show, we will have regional semifinal highlights from Lumen Christie Leslie for the girls, and Concord and Portland St. Patrick, and then boys quarterfinal highlights between Lumen and Riverview, Gabriel Richard. And subscribe to JTV Sports again for free, and you can do that online at jtv.tv. So thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency, and thank you to Pataki Orthodontics, and thank you to Minuteman Sewer and Drain Cleaning, always helping us bring you high school sports each year on JTV. So you're there, I'm here, but I'm not here. We'll be kind of back on Wednesday. So thanks for watching, listening online and on TV, and we will talk to you Wednesday. So thanks for watching here on JTV.
Bye-bye.